Hi, I'm Tammy. The purpose of the Tammy North Show is to give high achievers actionable content to propel themselves to senior leadership while living a balanced life. Women leading within corporations and government organizations who want to perform with authenticity at the senior executive level have found their community. What I want to talk with you about today, and what I really want you to notice and be honest with yourself about, is how often you compare your life with somebody else's life, and how often you spend any amount of time at all wanting what they have. This could be their car, their house, clothes, their job. It could be their vacation, their kids' birthday parties, or their circle of friends. When you want something because you saw somebody else who has that thing, who achieved that thing, or when you notice somebody who seems like they're having better emotions, better relationships, or an overall better life in general, you lose a piece of yourself when you start to let even a tiny hint of envy take root in your heart. The perceived perfectionism of others is running rampant on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. And I'm releasing this episode the day after Valentine's Day. And my husband and I don't celebrate Valentine's Day. This is not for any big reason, like we think it's commercial or whatever the people's reasons are. Our reason is primarily because we have a long list of our favorite memories from when we fell in love. And one of our favorite dates at the very beginning of our relationship was on the 13th of February. So we always have a little mini love celebration on the 13th, which that would happen even if that date had actually occurred in October or May, but it just happened to be the 13th of February. That's our day. That's a day that has special meaning for us. So for us, it's not necessary to celebrate our love on the 13th of February and then immediately turn around the very next day and celebrate it again. So it's just not something that we do. We did make a conscious decision at one point that we are not going to do Valentine's because of the 13th. And that's just our thing. So it's kind of cool. We like it. That's our reason. So in our house, as parents, we use the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, to celebrate the love we have for our kids. Okay, so all that being said, I am in the best relationship I've ever been in my entire life. But even so, on Valentine's Day, I did take a few minutes to scroll through social media, Facebook, Instagram, and I saw so many of my friends showing off their flowers and their Valentine's Day gifts, whatever. And if I'm going to be honest with you, then just for a minute, I did feel just a little twinge of, I wish I was them syndrome. It just kind of perked up for a second. Luckily, I'm keen to these types of things and I paid a lot of attention to how I'm feeling and the reactions that it gives me. So it was just the smallest of touches, and I made sure I caught myself before it became anything to note. Because honestly, I do not wish I was them. I do not wish I was any person who got flowers yesterday. I don't wish I was a person who got a box of chocolates yesterday. I definitely do not wish that. Not for $1 million, not in a million years. Why? Because I am so thankful for the life I am living. I'm living an incredible life. I have the perfect husband for me. I married a man who's my equal. He loves me super passionately, and he's my true partner in life. I have a career that's beyond my wildest expectations, and my 3 kids are all unique, and they all have their own special superpowers of their own. And would I trade all of this for a bouquet of flowers on the 14th of February? Absolutely not. And I tell you this just to point out how easy it is for your mind to want something that somebody else has, even if you're already overflowing with blessings in your own life. The point is, it even happens to me, and I really try hard to not be that person. So if you haven't spent a bunch of time training your brain to overcome when these types of moments sneak into your brain, then it could happen even more often. And that's what I want to talk about today, is making yourself aware of that. So when you look at an Instagram photo and you think about her skin, her long flowing hair, her clothes, the college offers that her kids received, and if you think even for 1 minute, I want what she has, you're not really thinking of the flowers or the perfect circus birthday party she threw for her toddler. You're thinking of the entire made-up scenario that resulted in her receiving the flowers in the first place, or what type of life she's living that resulted in her planning a party that included all of this amazing wonder for her 3-year-old. And you believe, even just for a moment, that her life is actually perfect, that she actually figured it out, even though nobody else in the entire world has figured it out. This one woman here on Instagram, she's figured it out. And obviously, when you think about it like that, you know that's a 100% made up scenario in your own mind, that there is no way that any person has literally the perfect life. We all have moments of positivity and we all have moments of negativity, and it's about 50-50, and we're all working through that. So even if that person is your very best friend, there's some odds that you don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes. Everybody has struggles, everybody has challenges, and everybody has dark, dark times that we know nothing about. So in this episode, I want to focus on how comparing yourself to others could be the number one way you are holding yourself back from achieving the highest potential you. When you notice in the scroll, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, you notice that jealousy is starting to creep in. When you see a colleague get that promotion, when you see somebody that takes a vacation on the Rhine River, try to focus on fully celebrating their good fortune with them, and then redirect your negative thoughts in that moment to thoughts that serve you and fuel you. I truly believe that we can all rise and that we were meant to live powerfully impactful lives. This impact is going to be unique to you based on your talents, your skills, your values, the purpose that drives you at your core. And the results that come from all of your efforts will also be unique and wonderful and powerful. Okay, so there's 3 main ways that we're going to talk about today that when you take too much time comparing yourself to other people, that you will hold yourself back. And once you find a way to free yourself from keeping score against everybody on your social media or all the people you meet across your life, and you focus on what you truly want out of your life, the life that you were truly meant to create in this life, an entire new world will open up for you. A world that was meant for you, for only you. That world will fuel you and inspire you to create even more of an impact, and then to ultimately blaze your own path. So how often do you think about what you do want in your life? These ones could be simple, something you can purchase, like a piece of clothing, or something you create for yourself, like a piece of art, or maybe a recipe for a family dinner you want to cook. Your ones could also be very big aspirations, like goals or something like that, like a new home or a large amount of money in your savings or a new career or a really big impact creating a better world. And sometimes your ones will be emotional. You want to be loved. You want to belong. You want to feel happy. You want your kids to be healthy and to thrive. So today, one activity I would like you to do, either you can stop this podcast and do it right now, or you can finish listening and do it at the end. But take time to just get all of the things you want out of your head, whether they're little, like a pair of pants, or whether they're big, like some dream you have that you see out in your future. Get them all out, no matter how big or small, no matter how trivial, and no matter how impossible they might seem to you right now. Just get them all out and list them on a piece of paper. And after you get out every single thing you can possibly think about that you want, go back and review the list you made and take the time to literally write down the reason why you want every single one of these things beside each item. So if you say, I want this pair of pants. Why? Because my other pants in my closet are getting too worn out, or because I think I will look great in these pants. Whatever your reason is, it doesn't matter. Just go down and put whatever reason you have beside everything you wrote down that you want. You might have some type of passion or purpose-driven reason that you want some of these items on your list, and so you're highly motivated to create or achieve them. Some of the items on your list will be driven from love for your kids and your family. Maybe you want to take the kids on a vacation to Yellowstone, and that would serve multiple purposes, some sense of adventure, some appreciation for the outdoors, plus taking your kids on an educational and fun family trip, which is all, great reasons. Some of your wants will be driven from a need for safety or security. I mean, you get the picture. There's all kinds of reasons that you might want something, and it doesn't matter the reason. You have wants, and just make sure you go through each one and identify the reason you want them. Like why? Why do you want them? Then I want you to take a moment and clearly identify when any of the ones that you listed could simply be something that you think you should have because other successful people have it. Or maybe somebody else has it and you wish you did too. These are ones that are not organically born from your own mind. For instance, if you see a successful person in your workplace and they have a briefcase, you might think to yourself, I need a briefcase, but do you really want that? Or is there some better thing that you would want that would serve a similar purpose? Or is it even something that is necessary? That's a goofy example, but I think things like that happen is people get a version of what success looks like in their head, and then they try to emulate that success by looking at what other people wear, what they carry, how they conduct themselves, and then you try to change yourself to fit into some mold that you perceive has a successful person in whatever circle you're in. I'm not saying that you don't genuinely want these these things too. You know, the things that other people seem to have because they're successful, and maybe you genuinely want them for some reason. But I just want you to notice them and dig in deeper on these ones and focus if you really do want them, and then get to a deeper reason of why that is. Why do you want them? And on these ones, when you're not really sure if you really want them or if somebody else wanted them and that made you want them, or if it's kind of a jealousy or envy thing driving it, then one good thing you can do is just do the simple why exercise. The why exercise is good in so many different ways. And here's an example where you could definitely apply it, which is for every single want, essentially just ask yourself why. Ask yourself why at least 5 times. Go down kind of 5 layers. So let's give it an example. Let's say you put on your list, I want a BMW. Okay, so first, why do you want a BMW? And then answer that question. Maybe you'll think, well, it's a luxury car, but it has a good reputation for quality. Okay, why? Well, I don't have time for vehicle issues. Why? Well, my career is very demanding, and when I need service, the opportunity to have a courtesy car and chances of my car breaking down the road, it needs to be nearly 0 chance it's going to break down. Okay, why? Well, I'm single and I don't have any friends very close by who can take me to the dealer. So I would then have to rent a car, or I would have to take an Uber, or it would become very inconvenient or also more expensive. Okay, why? Well, safety is one of the most important concerns for me, and I value highly being very dependable. It's one of my guiding values. Okay. So you see, that was 5 steps. Let me just say, I do not have a BMW, nor do I intend to get one. This is just an example. And in this case, I was trying to say that wanting a BMW or a luxury car, you could probably get to a place where it actually is a genuinely good reason that you could consider having one in your life. So that was me trying to get to a positive example. But just do that for yourself and try not to force it to get to a positive place. Just literally take it and follow the whys where they go. And when you do that, it can really help you get to the root of your wants. And then it should help shine a spotlight on if you want them for a superficial reason or if you have a deeper purpose that behind wanting them. And first, as I already said, it is absolutely fine to want something just because you want it. Go get whatever you want to get for yourself. That's fine. That's up to you. But the purpose of today's podcast is not to keep you from creating whatever life you desire. It's to make sure that the life you are creating is a life that you really want to be living, and to make sure that you don't accidentally create a life that you see somebody else living who might actually be really miserable. And if you end up living their life, you might actually be miserable too. So it's just about being very deliberate about the life you're creating and very conscious about the things you bring into your life and the reason you're doing so, which will help you to live a much more authentic life and one that you can be truly proud of. Okay, so let's get to the 3 ways that comparing yourself to others is the number 1 way you're holding yourself back from the rest of your life. Okay, we're going to go from the least to most. 1 is mindset. If you focus on what others have and what you don't have, you're going to spend so much time circling in negative thoughts and emotion. Think about this. If you start seeing something and you notice somebody and they're having this great life, it's Valentine's Day, they're with their loved one, they have some picture, there's flowers, there's kisses, there's all this, 10 pictures of their relationship over time, and everyone is perfect. And you start thinking, wow, they must have a really great relationship. You start thinking about all the things that are wrong with your relationship. And then you start going into this little circle of just like ruminating. You start feeling negative. You start judging them. Is their relationship really that good? Judging your partner, perhaps. Judging yourself, things you do wrong. Thinking you aren't beautiful. Thinking you are too emotional. Thinking all these things. You start spinning. You start to feel hopeless about your own life. And then you start just feeling very sad and very melancholy. That's what happens. And then when you start feeling all of these feelings that are based on the thoughts you're thinking, then it's sort of a spiral that just goes deeper and deeper into sadness, and it will not serve you. Just think about the ways that you interact with your life when you feel sad or a little bit depressed, or when you start feeling negative about anybody. Think about the way you interact with the world when you feel like that, compared to when you feel like you could take on the world, when you feel powerful, when you feel strong and beautiful, when you feel like you could do anything. When you think positive thoughts, you interact with the world one way, and when you think these negative thoughts, you typically close off, protect yourself, go into hiding. And so just keep that in mind. And having the mindset that spends too much time ruminating and in the negative thought processes will really hurt you in the end. Okay, the second thing is comparing yourself to others will lead to a ton of wasted time. when you're having the thoughts that we discussed in the first one, the thoughts and the feelings that make you feel a certain way. And if you get stuck in those thoughts, depression, hopelessness, envy, judgment, you're going to spend a lot more time feeling negative emotions. And when you feel those negative emotions like, I'm unworthy, that's going to cause you to take actions that prove you're unworthy. So rather than moving toward your goal and taking actions to make that dream a reality, you're going to just continue to scroll. You're going to start to eat to feel better. You're going to drink all the wine. You're going to watch all the Netflix just to try to avoid the sadness you feel. And as a result of all that, you will not take any steps toward your goal. As long as you're feeling that way, you're just going to stay stuck in one of those little loops. In fact, instead of moving toward your goal, you'll probably literally move away from your goal. The way you get what you want is by setting your sight on your big aspiration, then taking massive action to get there. The more you interrupt your negative thoughts, including how you're not as good as somebody else, and move on to thoughts that inspire you to take action, the more progress you'll make toward the you who you are truly meant to become in this life. And then the absolute biggest way that comparing yourself to other people is holding you back is this. When you compare yourself to another person and you try to become what they are now, or even try to become a little bit better than they are, then you are selling yourself short. What if you had a dream to be a politician, so you decided to run for city council? And then what if your biggest role model is the mayor of your town? Let's say like you live in a little town, you're in a little farm town, and your biggest role model is the mayor of your city. So from an early age, you decided, I'm going to be the mayor of this town. Maybe someday you could even become a state leader, like a representative for your district. Okay, those are fine goals. They're great. They're probably great stepping stones. There's nothing wrong with them. And there's all kinds of a difference you can make. But let's say the reason you had that whole vision or desire to kind of enter politics is because you had a greater purpose of some kind that you wanted to make on the world. Well, both those two roles I just discussed, even being a district representative or being the mayor of your little town, both of those roles could actually be limiting. And I know that's sort of weird to think about because there's probably somebody working, making a minimum wage somewhere in the city that thinks, wow, if I was a mayor, that would be awesome. So being the mayor, it's not like it's nothing. It's just that what if having that as your singular final goal is you not thinking big enough? I say those roles are limiting because there's only going to be one small town mayor at a time, and there's only going to be a handful of district representatives for your state. So it's completely possible that you will become one of these titles, that you will be in one of these roles, but it is also possible that you won't get there for some reason, no fault of your own. But what if instead that you decided that there was a reason you thought that these roles were something you wanted to do, that because there was some difference you want to make? And what if you could really get clear on the difference that you want to make? And then you can shoot for these roles, sure. But what are you really trying to do? Why do you want those roles? What are you going to do when you get there? What change do you want to create? What if you were willing instead, and also completely independent of all of these politicians, what if you built a coalition of business leaders and or nonprofit organizations to bring revitalization of your community to your area of the state? What if the change you create there led to people across the entire state or even neighboring states to take notice? What if you ended up heading a multi-state task force to drive change to the entire region? Like the Midwest or the Southwest or the Southeast. And then what if you gained a lot of grassroots popularity? And what if because of this huge vision and impact, people began to throw your name around as a contender, as a potential fill for a presidential cabinet slot, or maybe even as a presidential candidate? Seriously, it's not that far-fetched. These things do happen, but they don't happen when you go relentlessly after one small title. These things happen because you go after one giant why. And if you think, well, my role model is Bob, and he's the mayor of my small town, and then you try to be like Bob, or maybe you try to be a little bit better than Bob, like maybe you're going to become a district representative, then that's the best that's ever going to happen for you. And that may or may not happen, but that's kind of the best because that's literally the only thing you're shooting for. But when you take your giant why and you go after it with full force and you build coalitions and you solve problems and you bring impact and change, being the mayor of your little small town will seem like nothing. That will seem inconsequential compared to everything that's possible for you and for the change you're making. And that will be the only thing that matters. And so that's what I'm trying to get you to think is quit comparing yourself to these people. Even if the mayor of your little small town drives a Mercedes, who cares? You have a bigger reason. You have a bigger purpose. You are here to change the world. If you get nothing out of this episode today, I really want you to get clear about the impact that you want to make in the world. And I want you to set out to create it. Do this in big ways and small ways. but definitely spend your energy dreaming of the change and then go about trying to make it happen. Don't spend one more minute trying to compare yourself to other people. You can get some ideas from other people, kind of ideas of where you generally want to go. Like I could think of like Oprah Winfrey or something like that. Okay, generally. But if I literally try to become Oprah Winfrey, then she's already done what she's done. So it wouldn't be right. It wouldn't make as big of an impact. I would end up being a smaller version than her. It's not what would happen. You can kind of get a general idea like, I would like to be an influencer. I would like to be able to help people across the entire world. But your way will be different. And as you travel your path, you're going to find side roads that are so much more interesting to you, roads that are traveled less often. And when you take some of these side roads, take them boldly, and you're going to end up on a path of your own making. I want you to use your why as your guiding light, and eventually you're going to look back in awe at what you've created. And that's going to happen if you do it with a greater purpose in mind. You will impact so many lives, and you will have made the most incredible difference to so many people, more people than you ever imagined. And don't be in a hurry to do this. Just enjoy the journey. You're going to grow, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to grow some more. And then along the way, you will become a light for others. You will change the world. It's not about other people and what they have achieved. Thinking that will limit who you become. It's about you and what you are capable of becoming. Take time, my sweet friend, to become your very best self. Dream big and then go make that aspiration a reality. You are so powerful. And when you trust yourself to learn and figure it out and to keep taking the steps in the right direction, you will surpass all of your own expectations. Okay, now get out there and make it happen. You can connect with us on Facebook at Genuine Driven Women, or to learn more about what we offer, check out genuinedrivenwomen.com.